Tom, it's 1 o'clock. I don't have any message from Carol nor
Okay.
Maggie, so it's entirely up to you what you'd like to do.
Okay, and we're all set online?
Yeah, we got, from the staff, we got Ryan and Jonathan, and of course from the committee, we have Peg.
All right, well then, welcome to our Waynesboro Advocacy Committee meeting for the Virginia Museum of Natural History. Want to approve our minutes from our last meeting, which was on June 4th, and you should have received those electronically from Marcus. Are there any amendments to the minutes, corrections to the minutes?
Move to approve.
Second. Okay. To approve and second, we'll go ahead and take a voice vote. All those in favor say aye.
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 Like and raise your hands or take some other sort of sign. No.
The architect guy, or the guy who was helping us with the architect.
Oh, hey,
Okay.
Scott, you're joining us today? Jonathan,
Yes.
did you invite Scott?
I did,
You did?
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, all right. Well, Scott, welcome. I wasn't expecting that.
Sorry, Scott. Welcome, Scott.
All right. So, yeah, our first agenda item then is to update our activities regarding the detailed design, funding and continuation. Yes.
Yeah, just two
Let Joe.
real quick things that we've already announced. We've got the money in hand for the finishing of detailed design. We are just gearing up with, come on now, our architect,
Lobby and Homes.
Stephen Globby Holmes, thank you. You can tell it's been 2 months since we've had this meeting. So anyway, yeah, we're just gearing up. We should be announcing the start of the next session to begin the preliminaries later this month. So we'll get that going. Now for exhibits, so this is a little longer story, but we have a solution, right? So for exhibits, first of all, I'll point out from the very beginning that exhibits are not, the state doesn't care what we have for exhibits. They're interested in the building, right? We want to do exhibits to parallel the work with the building. And we're going to continue to do that, but we're going to go about it in a slightly different fashion. So first of all, and Jonathan can give the sad details, but you may remember way back, we first started detailed design, DGS had an error in their paperwork in that they said we're building a 23,000 square foot museum. So the amount of money that we got for detailed design is based on a 23,000 square foot building. They have since fixed the paperwork, so it shows it's closer to 28,000, like 27.8 or whatever it happens to be. But they did not give a corresponding increase in cash. Now, because of the delays as well, Globby Homes increased some of their costs, right? And it does say in the contract that if there are delays, they are allowed to review the cost structure. So basically, we are going to shoot for a 50% exhibit design completion. I really think Riggs Ward is being a real team player with this. And so we just got the proposal, so we're going to go over it tomorrow at the office, make sure all the I's are dotted and T's crossed. And so we'll get started on that. Now, what does that mean? It means when we get moved over into the construction pool and we get our working documents money, we will, working drawings money, we will use some of that to finish out the exhibit design. So we'll have 50%, which will be most of it, as far as visuals and so forth, but then there's going to be the kind of home stretch that we'll have to finish out. So we just think that that's the most reasonable strategy right now, given the funding that we have.
And that can happen at the same time as construction is going on?
Sure.
Or, yeah, because it's,
Well, the first step is working drawings. So they have to take everything that Globby Homes produces and turns it into the stack of documents that go to contractors. That's going to take time. During that time, we'll begin re-begin the exhibit design work so we get to 100% completion.
Got it.
But we will have the visuals that we can share with our supporters in due time.
So I'm sorry, we're going to put this on a timeline. So we now have cash for a detailed design. We have cash for the promise of cash.
We have
cash.
Yes.
So I'm just trying to match up General Assembly session. Where does that take us?
We'll be done with detailed design around the time of the General Assembly session.
January.
In January, yeah. So we'll have most of it. We'll definitely have the 50% preliminaries done by then, and then it's a matter of kind of polishing off from there. But it should all be fully completed during the General Assembly session, which is suboptimal for an ask to move to the construction pool. It'd be nice if we had it done in, say, like October, but that's not going to happen. That's not realistic. So we can give them what we have at that point.
Right.
So Jonathan, you want to add anything to that?
Sure. Just that the capital projects are due in at the end of this month, which is 5 months sooner than when I first started working on capital projects. So yeah, the timeline's all bumped up closer. But yeah, Joe, that's why you're the boss. You nailed all the details.
Yeah, but we don't have an explanation why, but this administration has been pushing required submissions for everything, not just construction documents, up a lot into the fiscal year. So
they're due next month, capital budgets?
yes.
Any other questions about the detailed design, update on funding? I remember in the General Assembly, there was a bill that was asking for a list of projects in November for the capital pool. I don't remember whether that one went through or not. You know what I'm talking about, Jonathan? Or?
Yeah.
I think they're working on some version of that.
Okay.
Right.
So do we need to do anything to make sure we end up on that list?
So that's going to be internal between Department of Planning and Budget and DEB. So they'll hopefully work together, and then I'll supply them any kind of details on funding, et cetera, to get on that list.
Okay.
We talk to DEB and DTB for that matter pretty regularly.
Okay. And our last meeting with the architects was, I believe, in March when we were doing the fish group stuff. So
Well, that was the exhibit design.
That's exhibit design work.
Yeah.
And so we'll be picking up those meetings.
Yep.
Shortly here.
Shortly. Yep.
Okay.
So as soon as we sign the paperwork that we just got,
Okay.
we'll get started.
All right.
I haven't had a chance to. It's actually a very short back. Again, either being good team players, but it just behooves us to go through it properly. So, but we should be making the announcement of restart of those design meetings. And this was also their recommendation. At first, I was like, and maybe we just have some more detailed images we can share with our donors. And they said, no, we'll do that one better. I think we can actually do something that is agreeable for everyone that will get us to the 50% design for preliminaries.
Right. If nothing else on that, then I guess we're down to community, starting with community interactions in the trailer. I know I've been going to some of the Saturday farmers markets and just stepping in and thanking the volunteers for being there and seeing the traffic that goes through there. And I do think we're reaching an audience that we haven't reached necessarily before. And we're seeing good numbers go through that trailer. I know Mary Pullen reported something like 200 the last time. It seems like it's consistently in the 30, 40 something range.
It is actually. Actually been keeping track of how many visitors that we've had for the month of May. We've had 31 visitors. June, 482 visitors. In July, 210 visitors.
Yeah, that's great. That's pretty cool. Yeah. And I've had some good conversations with folks, including the retired president from Blue Ridge Community College.
I didn't know that.
With his wife.
Okay.
So I think a lot of people are following us and learning about it. And so
Good
I think
investment of the RAP.
it's a great investment of the RAP and a great outcome from that, inheriting that trailer as I see it.
Speaking of which, this is something that I just kind of pulled out of the air. Just in conversations with Mary and so forth, I thought it would be beneficial if we put a little muscle behind one day, one to thank the volunteers personally. So I'm going to go up I don't know about other staff, whatever, but at a minimum, I'm gonna go up, and I'm not being very imaginative here, but we're gonna market it with something like, come meet the director and get the latest scoop or something like that. So, talk with Megan, I'll get her, I haven't even had a chance to talk with Zach about this yet, so, Zach's here online listening to this for the first time. But anyway, what we're gonna do is we're gonna pop it out there, I'll be there, during farmers market hours, and then I'm going to bring up something like 3 new artifacts that have never been on display up here. I don't know what that is right now, but we'll find 3 interesting things to kind of sweeten the deal. And but so part of it is one to engage the community. We are renting a generator for the day, so we just think it's worth the investment, but also to have a chance to personally thank the volunteers for what they did all summer. And so,
do you have a date for that?
Pardon me?
Do you have a date for that?
September 7th.
Is that a Saturday?
It's a Saturday 9 to 1.
Okay. Yeah, I know that they missed the dinosaur skulls, so I hope those are coming back after Dino Fest.
Oh, did we take the dinosaur skulls?
Uh-huh, you did.
Really?
Yeah.
Why did
So,
we do that?
I don't know. I'm assuming that's why they disappeared, because they disappeared about the same time as the dinosaur disappeared from the library.
Brian, did we take the trailer dinosaur skulls back to Starling Avenue? Oh, Brian just disappeared.
Kidding. No, I think they did swing by and get those. I found that out as well. So
Okay, well, shoot. I wish I had known them because we could have brought them. Whatever. All right.
Next time back.
Yeah, well, I'll bring them. I'm planning to head up on the 6th in the evening to test the generator and anything else I need to do. But I can put the skulls back then. I don't know why they.
And I know one request from the volunteers, that maybe Mary mentioned it, is just a name tag.
We got it.
Yes, okay.
Marcus
Got
dropped
that
them off today.
Oh, good.
Good job, good job.
So it's just worth it because farmers market runs through the fall, right?
Yes, I think through October 1.
At least through the first weekend of October.
That's good.
All right.
If I'm looking at my schedule, maybe I can come up and test some beers with you that night too.
Yeah. I'll be bringing Callie up. So,
That's even better.
we'll go do a rundown alcohol alley, draw straws for 2 tries. All right.
Any questions about the trailer, the interactions we've had with the community through that? I think our next event then is the Fall Foliage Festival. I see on here, October 12th.
Well, it's 12th and 13th,
Okay.
right? So we have staffers that are going to come up. Unfortunately, I'm double booked, so I'm either going to get up here late on Saturday or Saturday night. So, but I'll be here for the Sunday event. We have staff coming up to run the trailer with volunteers, so we'll have pretty well staffed. So we're gonna rent a generator for that day as well, probably, put a tent outside, do a little extra for the festival. So, and Greg, as far as I know, that is what our commitment to the festival is meant to be, as opposed to doing tents like we did in the festival. Okay, good.
I don't know what you work at, but I'm sure that's fine.
Yeah.
If you haven't signed up for a tent, then you should be fine. So.
Right, no, we haven't signed up for it.
I just wondered if we wanted to put something at the festival information table that says, come see your trailer.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Okay.
What's the membership apps?
Yeah,
Yeah, we can do that. We also, of course, we've invested in the sandwich board that we put out at the farmers market pavilion to let people know we're open, and we've got one of those feather flags that says open that goes out. So there will be the visuals that hopefully attract people, but I do understand the way it's set up. Up the hill, really.
I bet we have some sandwich because it ends here. So
Can I paint some dinosaur tracks in your road?
yeah, at night.
Well, in the past, the Museum of Fine Arts has had the trailer
We
in
had it
here.
there. But would remind me, when I talk to Megan, we probably have a sandwich board or 2. I know that we could put here at least. Maybe one on the other end of the building that comes through the museum this way.
Okay.
Well, they're gonna be parking there. A lot of people are gonna be parking there, so they'll see it too that way. But I agree.
Okay. No, we'll certainly handle it with course.
I'll be there for that weekend,
I'm
so
gonna try.
Cool.
Let's do
I can.
close and try.
Yeah, we're gonna try to set so everyone's working in shifts, so we'll try to also have volunteers and everything, so that way nobody has to, answer the same questions over and over again for hours on end. Well, that's what happens, Even at Dinosaur Fest, which we just had, we just answered the same questions all day long.
Question number one.
That's not a bad point. Instead of putting sponsors on our t-shirts, we should put the answers to the.
Top FAQs,
Yeah,
so,
right.
you know.
All right, cool.
Lecture series. So we're starting again in September.
Yeah, Jenna sent out
Those scheduled
information on it.
dates. Yep. I know we have somebody lined up for October, which is, but
But you're starting in September.
Yes,
yep, it'll be.
but we don't have speakers, so I'm gonna ask Jackson Means. He's relatively new to the staff, 4 years now, I guess, something like that. But he does a good job with presentations, so
September 17th, I think, is the first one.
7 PM at the.
7 p.m. at Wayne Theater.
Yeah,
Faye.
just to remind you that Peter Hujek, the new VCC director,
Yes.
would be interested.
Yes,
And,
he has been invited, and I believe he's responded to that request. And he
Good.
recommended somebody else that also works with VCC as
Right,
being
right.
familiar with the wildlife.
Probably
corridor.
Taylor Evans, probably.
Yes, that's right.
They're doing a lot of work on wildlife corridors,
Yes.
which I think would be a great topic, especially since one of them is the Afton Mountain corridor.
Very good. Yeah, I believe that's already happened.
Great,
And Jenny's been in touch with them.
good.
And I don't remember if they've set a date. Again, I can't remember who we have in October, but I know that there was a back and forth with them about dates. And
Okay, cool. I just wanted to make sure he was in the lineup.
Yeah, that should be a good one. Anything else about the lecture series?
I've got the schedule here, but it doesn't have the name of the speaker on it.
Okay.
I'll have to take one out, but anyways,
Do we ever send like reminders out to pertinent departments at JMU and UVA, places like that about this series? I mean, because it's been off for a couple of months, right? So,
Yeah.
I mean,
There's a listserv at JMU that
Okay.
people have that have some environmental interest, and
Right.
it goes to a lot of people all across campus. And
okay,
Carol's usually pretty good about sending that out.
okay,
and our social media presence is pretty heavy with it,
Yeah.
okay, good.
and Megan,
Yeah.
tourism helps as well.
I kind of figured JMU was covered, but
Yeah.
are there others?
And Ryan, it would be helpful to add all these to the calendar that you share with the board as well. I know that you've done it somewhat in the past, but not always. So, we could add all of these topics and dates to that calendar that goes out with your development report. That would be really cool.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yep.
And if you need that information, I mean, Joe has it.
I've got it.
Okay.
All right, we'll get that added.
And we do have support from the South River Watershed Coalition to host the speakers for dinner and for a night's stay. So we can think about bringing people in from further away. We've kind of, I don't know if we've exhausted, but we've certainly drained some of the pool of people that are pretty close by expertise. So we can bring some people from farther away. We have some.
Sounds good.
Cover that.
Awesome.
Next topic is the grant and project in the South River Preserve.
Yeah, that's all going according to scheme. So we got $25,000 from Dominion Energy, and the idea is to make another museum connection in the South River Preserve. Dwayne was very excited about this because with the kind of revision of the plans and kind of contracting to the south end of the preserve in terms of the current work, this grant will kind of fill a little gap for him in terms of some environmental interpretation. So we're gonna put up some, they already have the design, and they already have the manufacturer and the graphic designer in place, which is awesome. So we're gonna pay for some of those signs to get manufactured, but we're also working with them to develop maybe 3 or 4 other interpretive signs that would be good for everyone, including people that are of low visual acuity. So we have a 3D print shop in Martinsville now that we're working with, and they do everything from printing landscapes to individual objects. So we're going to have a sign on the South River watershed, and they're going to print that for us based off of a topographic relief map. We're going to do things like common footprints, common trees and tree bark. These are all things that would be touchable with the 3D print. So it'd be a little different kind of feel, no pun intended, than a standard interpretive sign. But, we'll work with Dwayne on the specific layout. I'm going to be recommended maybe we can kind of come up the walkway in the direction of our lot to try to, project that connection. And it's one more thing I hope that will show the community that, we're still making progress, we're still bought in. Whatnot. So we're right on target with that. We're going to be, Ryan, we're going to do a joint press release with Dominion in time for Fall Foliage Fest.
Yes, that's correct. So we'll announce the kickoff to the work and the grant as well.
And then we will announce its completion at Riverfest 2025.
Correct. Yeah. So that should leave plenty of time for the work.
A really important thing here is to kind of put our money where our mouth is. We had a successful Dominion grant with a multi-year exhibit at National Bridge State Park some years ago now. Now we have this grant, so we'll show them we're doing good work with the funds that they provide.
Go back there again and have another chat.
Yeah. Well, fortunately, I did go to the grant awardees luncheon, and I got to talk to the executive director of the foundation as well as the president of the board of the foundation. I followed up on that. I'm going to be inviting them to Fall Foliage Fest or other Dominion representatives because they're always looking for volunteer opportunities. So I'm going to tell them to come on down and work at the trailer for a couple hours and whatnot. So will one or the other come? I have no idea. Will somebody from Dominion come? I bet somebody will. So I've already reached back out to them about that. We'll send a formal invitation for volunteer work a little later on.
Do they have a really close regional office around here? They do? Good.
I've been watching the progress of the construction of the South River Preserve. It's pretty impressive. Of course, as dry as it's been, I'm hoping that some of those trees that they planted will survive.
Yeah.
I hope they've hired somebody to do some watering out there. But it is a nice change. And the greenway now goes kind of more circuitously around the amphitheater area that they created. And I think it's an attractive design so far. I know that they're going to start working across the river now on Jones Hollow, doing some of the re-meandering over there. So that'll be interesting to see.
As we're talking about construction, are they tearing down the old Moss Museum?
Gone, done,
It's
flat.
gone. Yeah.
Okay. Great. So is that a developer?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And Northrop Grumman's going up quick.
And don't forget, 8 years ago or something like that, I did talk to the president of Virginia Tech Foundation, was like, hey, how about we do an interagency transfer? And they're like, nah, no way. Right?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And we lost people we lost too.
Yeah. So much for that. Well, I'm sure, I guess Tech must have made some money on the sale of the property. Okay.
Yep. Nearly for cash.
Okay. Are we all?
Well, while I'm on the South River Preserve, so you heard me say this before, but a common question that we get is about the impact on parking. And the loss of that DuPont lot, as well as the loss that we're going to see when we construct our building, has people concerned for events like Fall Foliage Festival where they're going to park. And I've been doing a little monitoring. I did a count on how many spaces were added in the South River Preserve, and I think it's 77. I know it's 77 because I counted. And I think there's at least 5 or 6 handicap spots in there too. In the lot that we have, it's in the 170 range currently, and we're going to go down to, and I don't know what the current design shows on how many spaces.
It's around 70 something.
Yeah, so we're going to lose 100 there. We gained 77 or something over here, but we lost all the parking in the DuPont lot. I'd like to keep, and I know Greg he's heard this before, but I like to keep a tally of what the impacts are gonna be of all these projects, so that we can answer the question clearly to somebody who asks, what happens to parking? And I know there's designs for maybe some additional parking where the Leggett building is now and some other things. So maybe you can help me at some point, Greg, kind of update my tally, because that question comes up every time I'm in the trailer.
Right.
Wow.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
maybe that's where you bring the t-shirts in, the FAQs.
Yeah, exactly, right. Exactly, that would be one right on the top of
Or
the
when the
list.
number goes
Excellent.
positive, just have a little placard and
Yeah.
sign in there that says.
Yeah, and just have
net parking
a
change.
mathematical formula,
Yeah.
177
Minus-
minus that 100,
Plus-
yeah, whatever. But anyway, and then of course the other question that we commonly get is about the flooding.
Yep.
So that would be number 2 on the t-shirt.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Well, I think this weekend is gonna be proof of concept of the bridges and the dam, the industrial dam removal and whatnot, you know, because I mean, I don't know what's scheduled. Well, you're probably gonna have less up here.
I would think we're gonna have less. It really didn't show a lot even down in Richmond area.
Okay.
At least when I looked at it this morning,
Because dam will just time for you guys to come visit the day before. It's gonna be like 3
Yeah,
inches of
I saw
water.
that.
Yeah.
You know,
Oh, it's been so dry here, it's gonna soak up all that rain. Yeah, and I know they're talking about 30 inches on the coast, but no, we're never gonna see that here.
2 to 5, I think that's what we.
that should be
Yeah.
easy.
well, if you do get something like a heavy rain where you get a couple of inches or 3 inches of water in a short period of time, if it's not inconvenient, someone could go over and snap a picture from the car. It would be nice, because we did that before. Somebody sent a drone up or something right after a flooding rain. It was after the bridge has been replaced.
Yeah.
And sure, some of the lawn at the base of the Southwood Preserve got inundated and the tarmac was gone, but not gone, it was covered. But, you know, it didn't come up like I'm hoping it used to. Right. Talking from a guy who's only been coming here 10
And
years.
the third question, if we needed one for the t-shirt, is what's gonna happen to the farmer's market pavilion? And the way I've been trying to answer that when I help the volunteers understand is we have no control over that. I mean, our lot doesn't include that property. So that's a city decision. And we don't have any concern about that pavilion being there, honestly, because that doesn't affect our view shed of the river. So we don't really have a dog in the fight there, and we're supportive of the farmer's market. We certainly recognize that there's some connections we could make between our exhibits, and I think what happens, you know, when you're looking for local food and climate and soil conditions are appropriate here for agriculture, we could definitely integrate that into our exhibit design, and we should, and make it a natural partner for us. But I do get that question a lot, because they think for some reason the museum has control over that piece of property. We don't.
Yeah, just tell them we're, you know, the only decisions we get to make are up to the edge of the asphalt.
Right.
That's really the property line. We're just borrowing the wetland swell where the truck driver dropped our trailer.
It wasn't supposed to be, it
No,
wasn't easy to move.
it was, I mean, he's the expert and he seemed, you know, he kind of just took control and was like, you know, nah, I'm not going to back it over there. I'm just going to drop it right. It'll be perfect. Right. And so now I have buyer's remorse. So probably really should be up on the asphalt.
Okay.
Because one of these days we're going to have to jack it up and change the tires out.
And God forbid we get a second hurricane washout. It might be a little bit.
It might be a new boat.
Moving it.
Yeah.
Well, in all honesty, if we ever decide it's critical, I can always call Chris up, the driver. He's still driving the one for BMFA. And I'm sure BMFA will play ball with us. We'll just pay for the expenses of fuel and time and have them drive over the mountain, come here, and we can reposition it, you know. So, and Jonathan, what's our maintenance reserve plans for the trailer?
Yeah, we have permission to use maintenance reserve. So as the plan comes together, as far as what kind of renovations we need to do, we can deploy those funds to help renovate it.
Yeah, so what I need to do in the near future is, again, reach out to Chris and find out who's worked on the trailer maintenance-wise in the past, because the hydraulics, well, it's either the hydraulics themselves or the the electronics have to have some adjustment made to them at a minimum. But there are probably some other things that are, could use some TLC. Maintenance reserve, the idea of applying maintenance reserve to any kind of structure is to bring it back to the condition was when it was first built or purchased, right? So we can certainly do that. We can bring the lighting back to where it was before the MFA ripped everything out, for instance,
Yeah, I did notice the light switch in that little back room doesn't work.
There's no generator.
Is that why?
Even when you, yeah, so
There's a little LED light on the ceiling.
the side lighting for the exhibits is run off that long cable that the volunteers run over to the farmer's market.
Yeah.
That side light, the backlight in the utility room is only run by the generator.
Okay. That's fine.
Good reason.
All right. Okay, cool.
Board retreat and strategic planning for VMNH.
That's just a general announcement. I mean, you all know what's going on. Faye, it's time for board retreat. So board members will be, communicating with one another about what the guiding star for the museum should look like 2025 to 2030. And so VMNH Waynesboro. I mean, there's not much to discuss. It's going to be, well, what do we expect to be happening by 2025? So probably within that discussion is what do we need to do to prep staff and so forth, and think about hiring the first staff members up here. And that would also probably include renting office space locally when the construction's occurring. So these are all things that, we're not gonna have to go into the weeds during the retreat to talk about that, but we do need to carve out, we need to have a specific plan in place that shows this is what we're gonna do, this is the timeline once we know that we have the construction money.
You remind me that at the last board meeting, I did bring forth the recommendation from this committee to continue to work with our consultants.
Yes, President.
Yep, and we got that on the floor, but we didn't have a quorum. And then we did have a quorum, but we didn't come back to it and vote on it. So that's what I do at this point. Bring it back up and vote on it when we have a quorum.
Yeah, well, we have a consent agenda for Saturday, so I can just add that to the consent agenda.
I mean, it's pretty quick. This is ongoing, so it's not like we have to argue some new
Well, the other
type of expense.
the other part of that is just a professional courtesy to the foundation.
Yeah.
We have a restricted account for Waynesboro. Money raised up here that's stored in the foundation that we use up here, but it's just best practices to alert the foundation we'll be withdrawing from that for these various expenses.
Is there anything else I need to bring up at the board meeting as a recommendation from this committee? I mean, I can clearly update them. They'll have access to our minutes from our previous meetings. Is there anything specific I should highlight?
I would, go back to the point you made earlier, and I think we need to get people to come visit, especially participate in some of these community activities and so
Sure.
forth, right? Please come down. I mean, people in Northern Virginia are not that far away.
Right.
I mean, the nice part about this location is it's pretty much equidistant for all the board members.
That's a good message. So please visit Waynesboro. We've got the science talks going on. We've got the Fall Foliage Festival
We've got a
going on. We've
community
got
that needs
this
to hear from us.
volunteer recognition day on September 7th. So there's a whole bunch of stuff going on.
Yeah,
On your calendar.
Well, for instance, one thing I do that would be easy is that, I'm gonna end up driving Jackson up here for lectures, and he's available next month, so I can just let people know they can ride with us.
Yeah.
So it'd still be like, we get here early enough for supper, we get a quick tour. Somebody like Lauren, who's in Roanoke, we can pick, I know she definitely wants to go up here, she's down with the project, she really does like it, but we have not specifically gotten her up here yet. But that might be an opportunity for us to pick her up and bring her up here. I think she's the only one that hasn't been up here that I can think of.
Yeah, because we did have the meeting up here, but
Right.
Yeah, that's been a while. Oh, we had a meeting at Farmers, Frontier Culture Museum.
Yeah, we can make a habit of that, making sure people know, hey, we're gonna be up in Waynesboro doing A, B, and C. You can meet us.
how
you can
about once
drive
a
with us.
year you try to make it? You know, once a year, you know?
Yeah, I can't say it like that.
I can.
Yeah, you
I'll bring that forth.
You're not gonna have a report, we're gonna have a consent agenda.
Oh, we're having.
That's right, yeah.
So no committee reports.
No.
Yeah.
Oh, because we're gonna move right to the strategic
Yeah.
plan. Gotcha.
You're gonna do minutes, consent agenda, and Mark is figuring out doing my
We're
evaluation.
doing a closed session
Okay.
outside of the meeting.
Okay.
Via Zoom. So,
Oh, okay.
yeah, because
Give us
quick,
some freedom.
Give it what it's due, maybe.
so this board meeting, of course, is in person. The next one in November is scheduled for Martinsville, so that'll be in person, so you can do a Zoom meeting.
You know, you're 2 a year. Well, you can do 50% of your meeting. So if you have more than one.
All right. Last thing we have before open discussion is how are we prepping for General Assembly 2025?
I tossed that on there, just if anyone had any new ideas, new angles, we know what we're doing, who we're supposed to be talking to and so forth, so, assuming next steps are that we hire our consultant, we'll then confer with them, to determine, what needs they have, and so forth. Otherwise, it's gonna be business as usual unless somebody has a request for us to do something different.
No, and maybe I guess I won't have an opportunity to do this at this meeting, but polishing the relationship you have with your legislators is important. And now's a good time to do it. So I went to actually Chris Runyon's, I forget what he called it, town meeting or something like that. And just was there, he remembered who I was because of our interactions down in Richmond, just said hello and, try to give him a brief update on what's happening in the museum. And so I'm not a new face walking into the room when it comes to General Assembly next year. And I'll try to do the same with Delegate Campbell and Senator Odenshane, but they are, I don't know if it's true for all of the legislators, but they do seem to be, they're in their districts and they have some free time now because it's kind of after they're done with that special session.
Yep.
They're listening to constituents.
Well, I think we would have, don't you think, maybe a minute after consent agenda for some general announcements?
Absolutely.
No.
Yeah.
So maybe.
We're just trying not to get dragged out of rabbit.
Yeah. And when we missed an opportunity, because I know, Greg, you were saying that the legislators were going to be in town for an EDA meeting that got canceled or postponed.
That's when they got
because of
called
the
back.
Special session, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Is that going to get rescheduled or?
We hope so, probably in a different format. So,
Okay.
yeah, that was the Virginia Economic Development Association Leadership Retreat,
Yeah.
and we wanted them to speak to us about the same thing.
Yep.
So we're going to figure out some other way to do that.
Cool. But if you're ever aware of legislators coming to town, an opportunity to sit with them or meet with them in the park or
Right.
walk the greenway or something like that, I'd be happy
Okay.
to do that.
Good.
Anything else? Thoughts from the room, virtual and otherwise?
Hey, anything from Faye?
Nope, carry on.
Okay.
Scotty's question. Have you been connecting to audio for a while or is he?
I don't know.
It looks like he might have just turned on his mic.
So Scott, I know you're, first of all, I hope you can hear me, but I know you're relatively new to these Waynesboro Advocacy Committee meetings. I don't know if there was anything that we talked about that was new for you that you would like any further explanation on that might help?
Hey, yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, we can.
Good. Hey, appreciate the ability to attend at a distance. This is great. I'm following along pretty well. So I don't have any questions or comments at this time.
Well, thanks for taking the time to kind of keep abreast of what's happening with the committee and our efforts and so forth. So you're always welcome.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, great.
Anything else? Our next meeting is scheduled for September 3rd. I will be here. I will be here.
Okay.
I'll be leaving 2 days later, but I'll be here.
Where you go?
Back out to Kansas to see my daughter. Continue on to Idaho.
I'm waiting for football season.
Yeah, basketball season for Kansas.
All right. Well, thanks, Faye. Thank you for coming.
Yeah, thanks for
And,
joining us.
Thanks,
all
thanks,
online.
Jonathan and Ryan and Scott. So see you soon.
We are in charge